Tad, welcome back to the compound. And this is maybe your fourth time, but I think you always come when work is being done.
Yep.
It's always some new things that's happening in here. Can you tell us, what do you think about this place when you come here?
And well, one, I mean, it is probably one of the most exciting, inspiring spaces to be in. But every time I come here, there's something different. Like I have to come in and I need about 5 minutes just to take in because there's artwork that's changed. I see some basketball jerseys that have moved around. We got some beautiful Clark's limited edition product here. But yeah, I love how you keep it fresh every time I come here.
It's like a pair of shoes.
Yeah, exactly right.
It's like
Yep.
It's like the sole on a wallaby.
Yep.
It gets a little dirty, you got to clean up.
Yep.
Get a new pair.
Yep. Swap out the laces, do what you got to do.
Keep it fresh.
Yep.
So here, most people say interviews, and I always want to look at these as like just conversations with my friends, and that's why it's called Compound Conversations. So first off, to get the whole journey started is, where did this journey start? Like, people know you from the ending right now of your career, where you're at in your life, but what was growing up like for you? Where did you grow up? Where were you born? And just give us the start of Tara.
Yeah. Suburbs in Massachusetts. So I was born a Celtics fan. I don't know if you knew that.
I kind of heard about it.
Yeah. No, I grew up an athlete. So for me, I mean, I did everything. As a young kid, danced and karate. I played basketball, obviously, but soccer was the sport that I excelled at the most. So I grew up an athlete, team sports, and I think that really shaped me into the person I am today, and that whole team mentality.
So when you say the suburbs of Massachusetts, but where exactly was this at?
A small suburban town called Holden, Massachusetts.
Holden.
Yeah, so you're talking about 45, 50 minutes outside of downtown Boston, near another city called Worcester.
Okay, Worcester.
Yeah, central Massachusetts.
Central Mass.
Yeah.
Holden.
Yeah.
It's kind of a swaggy name, though. It's like Holden.
Yeah, I'll take it. Take it.
I got to figure out something to do with that.
I'll take you there, and then we'll see what you think. Yeah.
So, Clark's is where you're at now, but one thing about Clark's, it's like a family-orientated company. So you're big on family with anybody you work with and being a part of. But let's go back to your family and Holden. What is that family? Was it mother, father, sisters, brothers? Like?
Yeah. Mom and dad and an older brother. Dad, deputy chief of police of Worcester.
Wow.
So grew up with a police officer father.
Sure.
And my mom was more of an entrepreneur. So she had her own small business first, clothing boutique.
Wow.
So a small clothing boutique, women's clothing boutique that she'd bought. Her and my dad owned, and she ran, she bought, she sold, she did everything. And then she got into beauty. So then she had her own little, she was an esthetician, her own little beauty business. So she was always more in that entrepreneurial spirit. Wow.
So it's funny, who they are, for me, knowing you, has made me be like, okay, I get it. There is a police side, but then there's this authentic entrepreneur side.
Yeah, you mean the law and order versus the creativity? Yeah.
I wish I had the sound of boom, doom, 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 doom. So how much was from having both of your parents influence you in your career and your life, just your journey of life?
Oh, yeah. I mean, they were massive advocates of us because neither of them grew up with a lot.
Okay.
They wanted my brother and I to have as much as we possibly could. So they supported, and now having kids, I know how damn expensive and how hard it is to support them in sports and art and creativity and everything they want to do. My daughter's a dancer. My son plays multiple sports, and he's an artist, and it's hard to keep up with all that. But my parents supported both of us in all the sports we wanted to try. And then later in life, I got into the theater side and producing and directing. They supported us. And college as well. Lucky enough, my parents saved every penny that they could to help put us through college as well. So that was a big thing for both my parents, is for my brother and I to get an education.
Wow. I come from the University of the Street.
Yeah.
See, I got my master's in that now. Yeah. But so one of the things with you're successful, as just a person, as a woman, as a career person, what was a part of like growing up in college that formula that, because knowing that on the left side is a father that's a police officer and then a mother that's an entrepreneur, it's like, it's a process that they like instilled in you. But what do you think some of that credits to your success where you're at?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's both sides is, school for me and the education I got, the undergraduate especially, all of my extracurricular activities were more important to me than class at that point. Later when I got my master's, it was more about class. But on the side, I was involved in every student organization group there was. I know that's shocking, but involved in every theater group, and I was directing shows and I was working, and that whole aspect of it was really, really exciting to me. And I think a lot of it too is on my father's side and being so structured, and that aspect of it, you can see it. I know you can see it in me and how structured I am. But then the other side, the energy and the passion and the entrepreneurial and the creativity and pushing that, I think the best of both those worlds.
Wow. I have a whole nother respect for you now, like knowing that you are the living example of law and order. It's incredible. I might get you a T-shirt with like iced tea on it. So let's go into a big chapter of your life, because I think you mentioned it earlier, which is sports.
Yeah.
Knowing you, let's go back to the athlete, because you said soccer, you said basketball.
Yeah.
It's, I know you as a fan, and it's very intense.
Yeah.
But in a good way.
The player is very intense.
Even
too.
more than the fan.
Yeah. I mean, I got to have surgery in a couple months because I was showing off to my son that at my age, I can still do a 360 dunk on a 6.5-foot hoop. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So pretty intense still at my age.
So what was it like, young Tara, as a sports? She was just a little beast?
Yeah. I mean, yes, 100%. I think, as I mentioned, I danced and I studied karate and all those things too, which I think made me a more well-rounded athlete. But soccer was the sport I excelled most at, and I was a keeper. So, and I was a very, very aggressive keeper. And other keepers, if that there's a little something special about somebody who just wants to stand there and, have everything shot at them and put themselves in that stressful position every single game. But yeah, I was absolutely aggressive when it came to sports.
Wow. So I got one of the greatest compliments in my life came from, I always forget who said it, but they were together, so I'll give them both credit. It was Matt Barnes and Baron Davis. And they said, Free, we rock with you. You have the mind of an athlete. And I was like, wow. And I kind of didn't understand what that meant, but they was like, how we train, how we do the 1,000 shots a day, the hunger. And I was like, wow. So, that from that day on, I started looking at people like, who do I know and who has that mind of an athlete? And you fit that mold, and you're a keeper. Both ways. I got to keep you, and you was a keeper.
Yeah.
But what did you take from, because now for me, growing up, I played JV basketball in high school, but then asthma kicked in, it was over. So, it comes a time when your sports dream is over.
Yep.
But how did you transfer this energy, the jewels and the lessons and the hunger you turned from sports and placed it in what you do in life?
That's a great question. I don't think anybody's ever asked me that. Suffered an injury and then realized my talent was good, but not enough to obviously go any level of professional. I threw myself into theater, believe it or not. I had a friend that did theater, and I was like, I'm not doing that. Like, I'm an athlete. And I went out and I did it, and I was like, wow, this is really fun. The creativity aspect, I fell in love with lighting design, and set design and directing and all that. And I threw myself into that creativity aspect, and I found the same team mentality that I found in sports, in the theater side, and the group of people I was with. So then when I went off to college and started doing stuff within theater, I got into the marketing side of it and loved the promotional side of pushing for the shows that we were running and whatnot. And I just fell in love with that. And that's what I really then started to hone in on in college. So the transferring of that, but it's always been about the team for me and the people I'm with. Mm-hmm. That's the most important thing at any company I work for, any company I work with, is the people. And I mean, that's what led you and I together, was starting that off. When you meet somebody and that click happens and that mutual respect and whatnot. So that it was always the people for me.
So I have another question that I've been trying to find an answer for this, that humans has this thing with sports where we will cry together, we'll go out in 0 degrees with no shirts on. It's some emotion. And like being a CMO and being a director of marketing, just your whole career, you land that campaign, but why isn't that same landing of a campaign or the commercial spot or the sales for this week is not as exciting as that feel good for, like, what is it about sports that has this energetic feeling with humans? But, you won numerous awards at Clarkson,
Yeah.
but what is it, did the difference between these? It's just something with sports that's not connected.
Yeah, and I think sports is just a whole nother level. And I always talk about how sports can bring people together. Sports can get you through rough times. Like, I believe music as well is such another powerful thing. Like, I remember when we went through the pandemic, and at that time I was working at TB12, and I remember just how awful it was, and there was no live sports and no live TV. And they went and did the golf tournament, the celebrity golf tournament, where you had Tom and all those guys doing it. And I just watched, like, throughout the entire nation, how people just gravitated. People didn't even care about golf. I mean, I'm not a big golf fan, but I was like, you were just attached to it because it was just, finally you had that live sports brought back into our lives. And then, of course, I remember the bubble. But there's just something so highly emotional about sports and music and the way that people connect with them that's different than anything else.
So let's go right into TB12, which is Tom Brady's company.
Yeah.
The 12, but I wish he needs to be TB7 because he has 7 rings. It's just over. I don't understand.
You should
it.
call him up.
Yeah, we'll send him a text to get him. So, like, that's another thing that you got to work there, championship, to go to football. Did you get to see, and you having your sports background and sports love, do you think working with Tom Brady's company at that time had a championship DNA in the company? Because he seems like everything he do, it's only a few, him, Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, that it just seems like everything they do is at that level. And if you could talk about that feeling of that, working with a company that has that championship pedigree, and what was that journey like for you?
Yeah, that mindset absolutely permeated throughout the whole organization. And the CEO at this time, this gentleman, John Burns as well, that mentality was there.
Yeah.
And it was, you just didn't accept being second. It was all about being the best in what we were doing, whether it was delivering, health and wellness tips to consumers, or it was through some of the body coach treatments or the training sessions or whatnot. It was absolutely about being the best and going through all that. Yeah, absolutely sport mentality. And then I worked for Puma for 10 years too, being in the sport and lifestyle space as well. And, which worked with some of the best athletes in the world, from Usain Bolt, the fastest man in the world, all the way down. And there was always that championship mentality and that sport mentality.
So now, have the sport mentality seems like it's been chasing you? It's been your keeper through your whole career. Is this like a blueprint that you have no matter what the role, what the company is that you, because sometimes even for me, like no matter what the client is, I have like a DNA blueprint that I can take from, Clark's to New Era to Max Tampax or wherever I'm at.
Yeah.
What do you have like this format that you can take and plug and play wherever you go?
I don't know if it's a format. I think that I already talked about the team mentality, but I had years ago, a boss, a CMO, we had this amazing PR hit when I was at Puma, and we're all excited about it. And, after he said, you're only as good as your last PR hit. And I was like, oh, damn. And that has stuck with me. And you think about it, you're only as good as like the last, you're not going to win one Super Bowl or one NBA championship. No. And yeah, exactly right. It's absolutely, like, I'm not chilling here saying, oh, well, the Celtics, the last time they won, years ago. No, like, we got to get going this year.
Yeah, what are we doing?
Exactly. So I think at Clark's, you've been part of them. We've done some amazing things, won some amazing awards, sold out of these really cool shoes. That's fantastic. Let's celebrate it, but we got to be on to the next. Yeah. So fantastic. You're only as good as the last one, so you got to keep going.
Wow, you're only as great as your last PR hit. That's got to get PR today.
Yep.
So now you're a CMO at Clark's.
Yep.
Second run, right?
Yep.
You're like Jordan with the you're back with the 4-5.
Yeah, totally. Yep. Yep.
You're not on the Wizards though.
No,
Like,
I'm back to the Bulls.
You're back to you like second run with the Bulls. So, family, London, Europe, Shoreditch, right? Is it where's the key?
Somerset. Yeah, Street Somerset.
Street Somerset. This is amazing. You go from Puma, you go to TB12, and it's different working with a company that's out of USA with a whole background, but the shoe is a part of American culture.
Yeah.
What has that journey been from you from the start, because to leaving and coming back now?
Yeah.
Like, how has this been for you?
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good point. One of my first companies I had longevity at was Bose, so out of the U.S. And then Puma, although German company, the U.S. business had been around for a while, so very, American-centric. So working for Clark's, where the DNA of the brand and the headquarters and everything, nearly 200 years worth of that history coming out of England, that permeates throughout the whole company, no matter what part you're there. So that, was definitely very different for me. As far as the two stints go, yeah, I mean, it's a different time. When I came back to the brand, like we talk about pre and post pandemic, they're like two different worlds.
Two different companies almost.
Oh my God, like the history books are going to be crazy during this time period. But the world is a very different place. The way we engage with consumers is so different. Everything's evolved. So I think that alone has really made this experience so different. We do have a change in ownership, which had never happened in the history. The family owns 49%, and we have a company that owns 51% out of China. So that's really pushed the company to be even more global by nature, which has been really, really exciting for us. It's a different, still, the roots are the same. And the reason why I'm here, everything I love about Clark's is the same. But the way we're bringing the brand to life and the product and approaching the business is very different. So I feel like it's a different gig.
It's like a same company, but different time and different things are happening.
Yeah, it's like the best of what I loved all about it, coupled with really modernizing and progressing the company forward. So this second stint it's really, really fun. The work is a lot harder. It's hard work, but it's a lot more fun for sure.
Yeah. So when I think about Clark's, and it's key shoe models. You have your Wallaby.
Yep.
You have your Desert Boot.
Yep.
And I think there's a Trek.
Desert Trek. Yeah.
And then one thing that I always looked at Clark's was like the Wallaby was like school or hip hop from growing up in America, and then the Desert Boot was like Jamaica. And it's funny how then like the Trek and other models is like Europe. It seems like this shoe and the company had this idea like, okay, we're gonna give this shoe to Jamaica, we're gonna put this shoe in America, and then music started connecting with it too, like the Desert Boot and even the Wallaby was heavy Jamaica and West Indian culture. Then it came and went into America with Wallabies, and then the Desert Boot, of course, way back in the day with the World War and deserts. But how is this? Was this planned to promote some of the shoes through different cultures, or was the sales team just that global at the start of Clark's?
It's a great question. The amazing thing about Clark's and being around for nearly 200 years is it remains still one of the best shoemakers in the world. I always say greatest casual shoe brand in the world. Really the inventors of what everybody knows now as casual shoes out there. And it was all built on innovation. So sustainability, early days, the James and Cyrus Clark had a carpet making company, and they had all this waste they didn't know what to do with it. They made slippers, which then led to the business. But it was all about innovation and new things. And you talked about the Desert Boot, coming back, yes, seeing what was going on in the desert and making this simple boot, which really catapulted casual shoes there, and selling those. 100% amazing shoemakers, amazing sales team. But what you're talking about in the adoption of the Desert Boot into Jamaican culture and the adoption of the Wallaby into the hip hop and music scene in New York and fashion and all that wasn't a push at all. I mean, these cultures made these shoes. They adopted them. And I think because Clark's is the quality, it is the authenticity, it is the comfort, it's all of those things. And I think that's been recognized. And you and I always talk about this. It's a little bit, if you know, which is amazing. But you talk about the icons that are out there. We could talk about that in many different forms. Like Clark's has the #1 selling women's flip-flop in the United States of America. That's pretty massive.
Yeah.
There's all these different subcultures of different aspects of the brand. They all share the same thing. They want something cool. They want something quality, comfort, authentic, and something that really speaks to them.
I think it's so much depth when it comes to the brand. Like, it's dress shoes. I never even knew that y'all made women's flip-flops. Like, it's just a brand with so many different categories and like pillars. So let's talk about one of the key things that, a person of your caliber is balance. It's very hectic to be able to be in these positions and have balance with like life, family. And you've been at some high levels of positions through the years. What is that balance for you when it comes to having a team of your home family, a team at work, a team of people that you have to work with outside of the company? Like, how do you juggle the success that you have with your life?
Yeah, I mean, you've met my wife, Candace. She's a saint. Yeah. I think we're a team at home too, a team at home and a team at work. She's the right partner. You have to find the right partner. And my kids as well is when I'm home, I'm with the kids, I'm with the family, I'm supporting them, diving into that.
Shut down.
Yeah. No, I never shut down for that. But, that it's important, that aspect is important too. And we all support each other. Because I couldn't do what I did if I didn't have that support at home. And I actually think it makes me excel more there. And honestly, at Clark's too, like it's such a family-oriented company. We value that work-life balance and that family aspect of it as well. I also think too is that my kids, like, they get excited with some of the stuff I'm working on. Like, my son's heavily into art and gaming and all that. So when I'm working on things like Roblox and Pokemon, they're really engaged with it. And then we've got some stuff cooking, whether it's with Stranger Things or whatnot. So my daughter thinks that's kind of cool. So, I think having, letting them see how hardworking, their two moms are is really important. But I always tell anybody that asks, like, I have amazing support both at work and at home.
Wow. So another part too to the balance world, because your journey and your travels has been very creative, very sports driven, very entrepreneur driven. And then there's a lane of sales. There's a lane of the ROI. There's a lane of the EBITDA numbers. A lane of partners.
Yep.
But it seems like your idea first, creativity first, the people first. What is that balance to be able to take a brand into like new directions and not making it about like superstars and storytelling, but versus this whole other world where you have to meet numbers and you have to hit the right deadlines and the right points? How do you balance that, being the creative you are and being that person you are?
Well, I think it all matters what brand you're working on. So with a brand like Clark's, to your point, is, just going the celebrity route, the shoe route, bunch of sales, that wouldn't work for a brand like Clark's, because the brand like Clark's has 200 years of rich shoemaking experience. And it is the shoe, we always say, is the star of everything that we do. So for that, everything we do has to go through that filter and be really, really authentic. There's a ton of creativity in that, especially when you're doing something as cool, artistic, and the scientific side of building shoes. I mean, the thing that we put on our foot between us and the earth. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of amazing creativity and science that goes into that. So I think it's just different ways of creative, where if I was working for a different brand, there are absolutely companies and brands out there that are much more celebrity driven or, different formula from a marketing standpoint, which would take a different lane. As far as ROI goes, I mean, I am just as much about looking and needling the numbers as I am about looking at coming up the cool creative concepts and all that type of stuff. Like, both of them get me equally excited. I always say the art and science side.
Wow. So it's not like church and state.
No, no. I mean, you've worked on so many brands too, that and even if you just try to go buy the sales, it's so short term.
Yeah, it totally is.
the tougher, more sustainable, longer route always is the route to take.
Wow. Yeah, no, you're totally right. It's a hard toss up, when being in that, or when you're looking at great creativity in sales. But then a lot of times I think it all depends on budget anyway, because budget's going to put you in a frame of what you really can do anyway.
Yep.
So let's just talk about storytelling, knowing 200 years, knowing, Clark's in Jamaica, there's Souls in New York. And it just seemed like it was all these other stories that never been told of just like, the world of Slick Ricks and the Wu-Tang. How important is storytelling to Clark's? Not just in content, long-form content, which y'all are doing now, but, just even the things that y'all doing in Paris, you're building out your stores, but like, it seems like it's a detail of storytelling, no matter if it's a photo shoot, a retail concept, but how important is storytelling across the brand and storytelling in marketing for you?
Yeah, I mean, it is probably the most important thing we do is storytelling, whether it is of some of the brand history that you talked about, whether it be Clark's in New York, Clark's in Jamaica, we're coming out with Clark's in Manchester. Very, very important storytelling, but also storytelling of the shoes and how they were concepted and how they were built and what went into those storytelling. I think it's a way, obviously, to differentiate us from the competition in the marketplace. How do you walk into a shop and how do you choose one brand over the other brand? And if you connect with a certain brand and you know their history and the cool stuff that they've done and really been taken through that story, there's a different emotion that you connect with that. We don't just want to be shoes on feet. We want to be a brand that people identify with. Storytelling's part of that. So
collaborations are it's like the new hot thing. I mean, I don't know, collaborations have been hot for years now. I always look at it as stealing each other's audience. When you look at collabs, how important it is in the business place, and what has been one of your favorite collabs that you worked on through your career?
Wow, that's a good question. Yeah, I mean, for me, collabs are, I am a big fan of collabs, whether it be as, within footwear and how people come together. But I always think it brings a new audience and introduces your brand to a new audience and brings new consumers in. So I am a fan if it's done the right way. As my favorite, I have so many. I mean, I think back to my days at Puma, and we did this Yo MTV Raps one that I just absolutely loved.
Wait, you was a part of it?
Yeah, that was way back way back in the day.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
So I still have the Big Daddy Kane one.
Top it.
I have my Big Daddy Kane is signed, the black one with the chain on the back.
Yep.
I have the MC Shan, and there was one more I had.
Oh, you were legit.
Oh no,
yeah, for sure. That was one of my.
I was on a hunt.
That was one of my favorite ones. I still have my pairs in the box. We did this, and this one gave me a ton of gray hair, and it was painful. But we did a Lucky Strike bowling shoe, and I still have my bowling shoes. And so when you went to Lucky Strike to bowl, your rental shoes were Puma bowling shoes.
Wow.
And that was just, because that one had an experiential aspect to it. And it went on and on and on and on.
Totally.
But that was a tough one to bring to life for sure. Those are some of my favorites. At Clark's, I mean, there's so many. I don't, like one of my favorite brands is Sakai. And we did an amazing bring these two brands together collaboration there. But most recently, I think the one that's been so explosive is what we've done with Ronnie and Adidas.
Okay.
I think it's two footwear brands coming together.
Yeah, it wasn't in the when I think was it the Samba? Or?
Yeah, we just announced today the Gazelle, but yeah, we started on the Samba. And Ronnie and his creative genius, like bringing these two brands together. I mean, it'd be really tough for two footwear brands in the space to come together, but with him at the helm, concepting it, bringing the best of each together and bring that in, it was explosive.
No, the shoe was incredible. It was
explosive.
It was a beautiful shoe. Like the storytelling behind it, like you said, and to bring these two brands together was great. I think that is, I don't know, it's a great shoe, but the Yo MTV Raps collab.
Yeah. It's funny because I was just cleaning out some shoes recently, came across those, and I was like, I forgot how much I love these. And then my bowling shoes, and there were a couple others that we did that I loved back then too.
Wow. So this is not a hard question, but it's just the reality of life in the world we live in. Being a woman, and it seemed like it's, our ladder has steps. It seems like it's triple steps in each step for a woman in the corporate world of just all the way across, and you're a CMO now. More advice to young women and just women in general. Like, what advice would you give women to, like, who looking to live that journey to be in this world of marketing, advertising, and that corporate? Because, you know, you have accomplished something that very few women get to accomplish. Working at the level you work at, working with the brands and the people. But what is that? Because sometimes you just need to hear things to make, like, okay, I am doing the right thing. Like, what would that be from your experience?
Yeah. Find some mentors, hunt them down, find some women that you admire, hunt them down, and get some advice from them. And that I didn't have early in my career. I did find that later in my career. But once I found one or two women, I definitely haven't let them go, and I still call them today. I was growing up, and as I got to the executive level, oftentimes I was the only woman in the room. Oftentimes. Still today, there's a lot of scenarios where I am the only woman in the room. And it's through the years and building that confidence level and having those mentors to be able to push through, which has been really, really important. I'm part of a network of women CMOs on the side too.
Wow.
So that is very helpful as well to really bounce ideas off of. But anytime somebody comes to me and wants some advice or mentorship, I always put the time aside. It is so important that I give back as much as I possibly can to the young women generation to give them the confidence to push through.
Being a woman at the level you at, I have this saying, I work 48 hours in a day. Do you think that your career in this journey you had to do more? You know, being a woman, like, outwork people, out study.
I didn't. Yes, it's funny you asked that question because I didn't realize it until one of my guy colleagues, we were going into a meeting, this is recently, and I was like, something dropped in our email saying you got to prepare all this for next week. And I was mad because I pride myself on being over-prepared for something, and I didn't have the time to do it, so I was figuring it out. And one of my colleagues was like, I'm just going to roll in. And I was like, what? And he's like, you know, this is what happens. Like, you always feel like, because I was one of the only women, you're going to go into this meeting and you have to be prepared. So we started to talk about that, and I realized, absolutely, I would never, ever, ever, I always went above and beyond to prove myself to get to that point. So yeah, absolutely, I definitely feel as though, I don't think I realized it while I was doing it, but once somebody called it out and I reflect back on it, yeah, I absolutely see that.
Nah, for me, it's the same, you know, being an African-American. I think, you know, I'm Black.
Well aware, yes,
well aware,
yeah.
I have that same sentiment. Like, I'm very blessed to be in the rooms I'm in, to be in these corporate situations, and I believe that I have to work 48 hours in a day.
Yeah, you have to work harder than everybody else. Yeah,
totally. So, last question I have, when it's all over, and you're in the box, but you're in the air floating, and you're seeing your legacy you left behind. What is it that you want the world to know?
That's a really, really good question. I think the impact that I had on people, because there's a ton of people out there that can do great creative work in marketing. You and I know many of them. We work with many of them. But it's the impact on my team and my colleagues. Like, I want them to have felt that impact that I've had on them positively, help them grow their career, help them achieve stuff. So it's really the impact I leave on the people in a positive way. I'm sure you know this, but I'm tough. I'm tough on my team. But I'm also the first person in the front row cheering them on and congratulating them, for sure.
I think we got that answer way in the beginning of the interview with the father side of Law and Order.
Yeah, tough but fair.
Tough but fair.
Yeah.
You know, you protect and serve.
I do protect and serve 100%. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Tara, for coming.
Thank you.
I know I'll be seeing you more in the future.
Yeah.
And God bless you and your family.
Cool. Thanks, Free.
Thank you.